Hi and welcome back to my channel. In this video, I'm going to be looking at what are their thoughts and feelings about you and the connection. There are 3 groups to choose from. Group 1 is the Unakite, along with these cards. Group 2 is the blue Calcite, along with these cards. And group 3 is the Quartz, along with these cards. So if you want to take a moment to center, focus on your breathing, and feel whichever group, maybe multiple groups or perhaps all of the groups that you're most drawn to. I'll give you a minute to make your selection and then we'll get right into it. And there are timestamps for each group in the description box of the video if you would like to jump ahead, which I do recommend using so that you can skip over me shuffling cards in between groups to clear the energy of the group I've just read for and tap into the energy of the group I'm about to read for. So I'll give you a minute. Please use the timestamps and we will get into your reading. Hi, Group 1. You chose the Unakite along with these cards, which I'll start with to get an idea about what are their thoughts and feelings about you in the connection. So we have 6 of Swords, 7 of Swords, 8 of Wands, the World, Contract, Door to Spirit, Eagle, Communion, Dragonfly, emergence. Variance. And healing. So right away with the Six of Swords and the Seven of Swords, this can indicate somebody who is trying not to think about you, trying to move on or to push away thoughts of you in the connection. But with that Seven of Swords energy, they keep being drawn back to this, almost like a guilty pleasure of tapping into your energy and tapping into the memories of the times that the two of you shared together. There's an energy here of it almost being a fruitless effort to completely move on from this. They may have success where there are, days or even weeks where they are, able to focus on other things, able to kind of get their mind off of what has transpired between the both of you, the feelings that they have for you. But they keep finding themselves kind of drawn back in that direction, almost feeling a bit of, again, guilt, like a guilty pleasure, when they do sort of allow themselves to tap into that, into these feelings of nostalgia, this questioning and this wondering of what if. There could also be a little bit where they're feeling that these thoughts are kind of taking away from their ability to be very present in their day-to-day reality, almost like a distraction, like these thoughts, as much as they're trying to kind of stuff them down, push them away, focus on other things, direct their attention elsewhere, and to have these kind of thoughts sort of reemerge almost out of nowhere. It could be something that is leading to a little bit of frustration on this person's part, that they just can't seem to successfully evade or completely get away from being very drawn to you at the mental space. There could also be some telepathy that is going on between the both of you in the distance, in the silence. This person really speaking the words through that vibration, through that kind of mental energy that they are unable or unwilling to speak in the material world. This could be very different from what they may have told you in the material world as well. If this was someone who, said that they needed to just move on, they weren't really feeling the connection, the timing was off for them, something wasn't right about the circumstances. With that Seven of Swords, again, this feels almost like a deceptive energy that could have been very ego-based, making that sort of statement, maybe the intensity of what was occurring between the both of you, or just some other factors in their life that it was feeling almost like there was too much of their energy that they were investing in kind of these dreams of what this connection could become, or some strains or some things that had been triggered by this connection. And the method was then to just try to pull away from that rather than leaning into that. But there is this kind of this energy of contrast here, where maybe what you were told is quite different from what they are thinking and what they are feeling. And so again, that telepathy really factoring in here as far as that truth from that higher self level, kind of beyond those gatekeepers and barriers of the ego, these almost coping mechanisms or strategies, not even negative, but just something that's very necessary in order for this person to kind of be able to tend to other things, to have some space to figure some things out. Dealing and interacting with this connection so intensely and so intimately, it might have just kind of added to that confusion. With the Eight of Wands, there is this desire to bring forth some kind of communication. Again, telepathy might be very strong between you at this point in time, where from that kind of higher octave, they are able to convey to you the things that their 3D self, their ego self, is just not at a point of being able to really follow through with, to step into, or they're having a difficult time processing or really conveying that. This Eight of Wands can also talk about, again, a lot of signs that they are getting, things that are reminding them of you, or efforts that they're making to kind of direct their attention elsewhere, proving to be a little bit of fruitless. With the World, they kind of cycle back around to that, as much as they may try not to, and they may successfully at periods of time just be able to focus on other things. It always comes back around to this connection, something deeper, something beneath the surface that this person is really being called to uncover, to address within themselves. What is being triggered within them, kind of digging deeply in that root and finding out, what kind of a barrier is this against love that is being challenged or tested within them. What about sort of the free-flowing love energy between the both of you has them in this stance of defensiveness? If this has to do with kind of exterior circumstances in their life going on where they feel just very overwhelmed and don't feel that they, have the time and energy to really devote to, fully surrendering to this connection, then that triggering can also be something, that's really compelling them to sort of further unpack these exterior circumstances. What of these circumstances are maybe situations that have kind of passed their expiration date? What of these circumstances and situations that are causing so much stress for them with that contract? Maybe some like karmic partnerships. This could be karmic friendships. This can be a job, a lifestyle, a belief system, a belief on love, any number of things. This can have to do with family, and just really, the ways in which this person is kind of feeling pivoted, pulled in two directions, that they, don't really have the resources psychically, emotionally, even physically to, invest fully in the ways that they would want to, and they're being compelled or feel kind of a sense of obligation to, both of these factors. Those triggers can really then, be that opportunity to take a look at what's going on in their material world and see, what are they investing in? How is this truly serving their highest good? Or is this, again, something that's part of routine, a sense of obligation? Is this something that is kind of keeping them in sort of a limited capacity to experience their full abundance in this lifetime? With Door to Spirit, this definitely feels that something has really been activated within this person through this dynamic, through this connection, through your interactions, that could again be very triggering for them. An element of their spiritual self has really come online. They could be getting a lot of downloads, feeling a lot of activations in various chakras. Again, that telepathy between the both of you could be very intense for this person. It could be something that's very outside of the ordinary for them, very visceral, very tangible. Almost this idea of somebody who, maybe had a concept or of the nature of kind of like a soul connection, a spiritual connection with somebody, the nature of that dynamic and that interaction, and had at a certain point, maybe achieved that with others, had some kind of intuitive connection or empathic connection with other people close to them, people, romantic partners, things of that nature. But it almost feels like this dynamic is the next level of that, something this person wasn't really prepared for, something that really perhaps even challenges, again, their sort of their worldview, their view of themselves, their view of love and the nature of connection and relationships. And it's something where, it's an invitation, this Door to Spirit here. It's, offering them this potential and this path to something more, a new experience that will come with its own series of challenges, but also with its own series of blessings. And so this feels like somebody who's at this kind of crossroads period now, to take that chance to lean into that space of faith and trust and curiosity, or to remain kind of within what is familiar and known, to remain in these patterns. With Eagle here, this can also talk about some intuitive nudges and guidance that they've been getting from their higher self, maybe even things that are both compelling them in your direction, are really, again, like with this Eight of Wands, this concept and element of signs that they could be getting about you, that could just, really be causing them to kind of stop and think, to need to dig more deeply into this. This feels like a very necessary period of withdrawal so that something can grow and develop out of this. Whatever has occurred between the both of you, or, whatever your connection has then developed into, you've reached this this kind of threshold where now it's opening up to the next level. It's something where, it's a necessary period of pause so that people can, stop and kind of reflect on where they've been, where they envisioned themselves going. And then with this this kind of factor, maybe even almost this energy of like a wild card coming into that situation, a need to kind of process that and evaluate that, to figure out, what needs to go, what no longer serves. Now that this new kind of dynamic or information or sensation or even these triggers, these unexpected triggers are really coming up, to, again, take some time to really unpack that, to really grow through that, to really open oneself up up to kind of a redefinition of what they had understood this connection to be, where they understand it has the potential to go, and also some development within themselves, furthering kind of that knowledge of these triggers, these kind of wounds that they have within themselves, or even barriers to kind of opening up and allowing themselves to be kind of infused with the vibration of this love that exists through this connection, and that is really activated and very tangibly experienced in the dynamic between the both of you. With this energy here of variance, this can really talk about this idea of ascension as well. And again, things really being triggered, really being activated within this person. A lot of intuition coming in from the higher self, a lot of downloads coming in that is starting to really, touch on some nerves within this person, and also open up some doors to the possibility of expansion that this connection offers. And with healing here, all of this, as much as this, might be triggering, as much as it might be very difficult to feel the withdrawal of this person, or to have been told that they're trying to go in another direction at this point in time, there still is very much an energetic connection between the both of you, and it's something where that exchange at kind of that soul level, at that higher self level, it's affording both of you with a lot of healing at this point in time. This period of kind of working through these triggers, both what has been triggered within this person, and also on the flip side, what is being triggered within you by their action or inaction. A period of metamorphosis individually, and then that has the ability to ripple out to a metamorphosis and almost an up-leveling of what you've experienced with this person. So definitely a time of healing. Healing is not always comfortable, as we are facing things that need to kind of be released, kind of be moved upon or moved on from, and we're coming upon sort of different facets or aspects of how we view ourselves, how we view our experience, what it is we want for ourselves in love or in connections or just in life in general. Kind of looking at that, even really, kind of the hesitancy often of humans to change in general, as much as, we may want something different, we may want something more. When confronted with that pivot point, it's very natural to try to hold on to what is familiar and known, to release some things to a certain degree, but then almost like kind of those root cords that attach us, that we have come to define ourself or define our understanding of, the nature of our life, the path that we are headed down, who we are and what we see for ourselves in the future. That can take a little bit of time, almost like if you are, say, trying to kind of clear out a garden of some overgrowth or some weeds, and you can't just pull the surface plant, you have to really dig down and get that root and extract that in order to not have that still then, affecting and manifesting in other ways in the future. So this definitely feels like a period of clearing, a period of cleansing, a lot of turbulence being kicked up in this connection, some resistance on this person's part, but nevertheless, there is a persistence as well with that, in terms of the feelings that they have for you, in terms of these thoughts, these reminders that they are getting from spirit that this is very significant here. This is not something which, kind of whatever has been triggered, whatever has caused them to sort of pull away, that this is not something that is in vain. There's something to be gained from this. That's almost like the higher self telling them, continue to look, don't look away. Resist that urge to kind of close down, to shut off, to pull away, to push this away. It's a persistent energy here with that telepathy, and again with these signs. A portal of healing is available through this connection at this point in time. The two of you at a very necessary juncture in your lives and in your journey individually, and also, together, to again really step into a different version of self, to reimagine what you may have held on to as far as ideas of love and partnership, and to also really open up to kind of the healing that is able to come in from the higher realms, from the higher levels, and also kind of this energy exchange, this exchange of healing energy between the both of you in an etheric sense, while at a kind of a distance or a standstill. So I'm going to get some messages from this person's higher self for you, group one, and see what do they want to say. Oh, and real quick, in terms of signs with the swords, we've got air energy, Aquarius, Gemini, and Libra. Wands is fire, Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius. And the world for me as a reader is fixed energy, Aquarius, Taurus, Leo, and Scorpio. So let's see, what do they want to tell you from their higher self right now? Okay, and they say, I bury myself in work to forget you. So that's that energy of that distraction, somebody who's really trying not to think about this connection, trying to avoid this, trying to avoid this energy of change, these wheels that are almost set in motion. Somebody who's very cognizant of the signs that they're getting, this urge and this pull towards you, but is trying very hard to kind of put the brakes on in this situation, to push this away or to pull themselves away. And they also say, I know that I crossed the line with you. So they are really understanding kind of some things that have been triggered within the both of you. Maybe also in the method in which this person took to kind of pull away or to push you away. It could have been, again, really triggering or stemmed from a place within them of wounding. There's some regrets about that, about maybe the way that they said this, the way that they did that. Maybe for some of you, this person just kind of ghosted, just kind of disappeared, went cold on you, went silent on you. And it's something that that feels like another thing that they keep sort of reflecting on, they keep thinking on, that there might have been a better way to handle this situation, a different way to kind of do this, but based on just this immense sort of activation and triggering energy here, it feels that it was very much kind of a reactive approach, as opposed to really taking the time to suss some of this out and formulate a response to what it was they were feeling. And they also say, I know I was a distraction from your pain. So there's a little bit of doubt within this person about kind of the intensity of what they are feeling for you, what they have experienced with you. There could be some feelings of lack within this person that have also really been triggered. Kind of a sense of this connection or this situation being too good to be true. Somebody who might be a little pessimistic in love as well, and might have just really been looking for that other shoe to drop in this situation. Somebody who was almost very unaccustomed to the vibration, to the harmony that was existing between the both of you. And so it's something where there was almost this feeling of, is this a placebo effect? Am I just imagining all of this? What's the catch? What's the caveat? Again, when's that other shoe going to drop in this situation? And being very triggered by that, it could have definitely motivated them to push you away, to pull themselves away, to go silent, or to create some distance between the both of you. Okay, and we have twin flame. So this can definitely be a twin flame dynamic in terms of kind of those characteristics of triggering one another deeply, needing that point of being very magnetized, only to pivot away from one another in order to do that healing, in order to do that kind of work deeply within self, to kind of rise from those ashes. Sort of this repeating series of kind of this flame, this spark that is ignited between the both of you. Being completely eviscerated by that to a certain capacity in order to sort of rise, to sort of develop, to unfold into kind of a more authentic, less diluted version of self, standing in that core truth, kind of these periods of separation being very necessary to go within, to do that internal work in order to come back together, to get closer to that point of really being in that harmonious state with one another. That is almost part of that dynamic, being to challenge one another and then energetically support one another through that process of kind of stepping into that best version of self. And so this person might recognize you as their twin flame if this is something, kind of a lexicon, a concept that they are familiar with. But this is definitely also something, that is really talking about how this connection, again, really ignites something within them, really activates something within them. And part of that activation, part of what has, really been triggered with this healing process might be those very uncomfortable triggers that are happening right now. And they also say destiny is taking us down different paths. So this is that energy of needing this period of separation, needing this kind of distance. And as much as they, to some degree are trying to avoid these thoughts of you, and yet having this longing, being very compelled towards you at the same time, kind of pushed away and yet pulled towards you. This is, from their higher self at the soul level, they're really understanding that this is necessary. Even that sensation of conflict within themselves, it's almost that friction, it's that abrasion that is necessary in order to really create some change and momentum, to bring this person out of, and you as well, out of some kind of period of stagnancy that you've been in, some kind of a place of complacency. It's almost like the dynamic and the energy between the both of you being almost like a flint to one another, and really just, you're striking each other's lives in such a profound way that it's lighting that spark to personal illumination, that spark to elevating to the next kind of stage in your personal journey, which then ripples out to the potential of really a next stage in this connection in the future. And they also say, I don't know what I want. So that is that energy of change and turmoil, and a lot being stirred up within this person, a lot having been triggered within this person, feeling a lot of overwhelm right now by what's going on within them, what's happening in this dynamic, what's happening in their world, and somebody who may just have needed to kind of pull back, get a breather, take 5, get some perspective on things, but a very necessary part of this dynamic between the both of you, which then also affords you that opportunity to sit with that, to explore that, to unpack that a little bit, to really, kind of from this stance of separation or distance, giving each other a little bit of breathing room, a little bit of space, to really have that quietness within, to receive that guidance, kind of that feedback from your higher self, your spirit team, the universe, your guides, guardians, angels and ancestors, just everybody kind of bringing that all in, helping to create some context to this, and to, really give you that time and space, both of you individually, to kind of have the way forward be revealed to you. Okay, and they say, I was in denial. So this can definitely be that energy of whatever they may have said, or the ways in which they pushed you away, or kind of pulled back their energy. This being a direct contrast to sort of what they truly feel for you, what they truly want, the intensity and what they are recognizing at the soul level in this situation. This can also be somebody who, maybe entered into this connection, entered into this relationship thinking that they were, ready for love. They were open. They were, this was the time. And, after a period of interaction, then to have these triggers come up, and it has really put something into perspective for them, that there's still some healing that they need to do. There are still some barriers within themselves to fully, receiving and giving love in a reciprocal and open manner, that, are not insurmountable, but they are things that need to be kind of addressed and worked through in order to really experience more of the depth and potential of what this circumstance offers. And they also say, I'm protecting this connection. So this can really talk about how, them sort of pushing you away or pulling themselves away. It was almost out of this stance of recognizing that some things have come up within them, triggers have come up within them that they need to address. This almost feels like a courtesy that was done to not maybe inflict that, this kind of messiness onto this situation. While they definitely, kind of feel that there might have been a better way to go about this, a better way to convey this, a better way to, express that they need some time, they need some space and some kind of boundaries and put in place at this point in time, in order to really figure things out, in order to, truly receive that truth, and to kind of determine the next way forward. This does feel like something where, the intention is not to end this once and forever, but just to kind of put things on pause for the time being. They still hold a lot of love for you. They still feel you very intensely. Again, that energy of telepathy, there's still a lot going on in a very tangible sense between the both of you energetically, despite whatever might be happening in terms of kind of a breakdown in communication in the 3D. And they also say, I miss being intimate with you. So they're definitely, pulled back towards you. This definitely feels like something where, they can kind of go within themselves or distract themselves for only so long, and then as these thoughts come up, these feelings come up, these signs come up, kind of in that quiet space, and they're able to really tap into you at the soul level, and they're really able to kind of tap into that potential and that core truth, what's been activated and awakened within them. It is this sense of longing. It is this sense of nostalgia, and in some capacity it's almost a motivation for this person to not push away what has been triggered, to not turn away from that, to not ignore that or deny that or stuff that down, to do what's necessary, as difficult as that might be, to look in that mirror, to face that, to work through that, to own that, and to release that, in order to take those steps, to be able to come towards you at a capacity of emotional availability where they're able to kind of sustain and in a reciprocal manner and give and receive to this connection in a very fluid and progressive way. Okay, and we have building this home with you, looking at the stars above, the lush green garden, and the peach blossoms in front of us. I have given you the key. So they are definitely acknowledging something very profound has been activated within them through this connection. They see you as somebody that they could build a life with long term. This is something, there's a sense of certainty almost that has really clicked into place within this person. Something that, comes with its own series of questions, its own series of things that they must unpack, that they must look at. Are they ready? Are they prepared? What do they need to do? What do they need to let go of? What do they need to step more into in order to be able to show up in this situation in a way that they can participate with you on equal footing to move toward that kind of mutual goal and dream of whatever the two of you envision as kind of the outcome in this situation. They also say you're the embodiment of a goddess god. This journey is my rebirth. So that's that energy of healing and kind of that idea of, the flame that is sparked between the both of you, this intensity, this burning passion, where you are both then eviscerated in terms of the version of yourself that you had come to know, in terms of your ideas of love, in terms of your ideas of life, and kind of all of that needing to fall away in order for more of your true self, more of your authenticity to rise out of those ashes. A more powerful ability to give and receive and experience love than you may have had in previous connections. Definitely a transformational energy here. Again, this kind of separation, this silence, this distance, this withdrawal being a very necessary period for the both of you to have that space, to have that time to go inside and do that internal work, that while you are more kind of actively involved in one another's lives, it's almost like being in the thick of it. That's a different kind of experience. You're exchanging energy. You're really tapped into that very intense connection, that very intense energy, almost that vibration of twin flame. Twin flame not even being necessarily a person, but an energy itself. Kind of this very high vibrational, next level, and again, transformational force or vibration or aspect of kind of the force of love. And so this person is really seeing you as maybe again this sort of love that they had been hoping for, this change that they had been hoping for, this transformation that they had been hoping for, coming in very unexpectedly in the form of this connection. And so what's being triggered, they're also understanding this as kind of a gift, very necessary for them. Kind of that idea of the answer to their prayers maybe showing up in a different way than they could have expected. And so kind of in that process, maybe of fighting this off a little bit, but something really having been turned on within this person to where these wheels have been set in motion. This change and this transformation is taking place. They're getting a lot of signs from the universe that is not allowing them to fully look away or fully disconnect from this, but is really, insisting that something has been instigated by this connection, and it's, again, those wheels are in motion, and there's almost this idea of choice being irrelevant at this point in time, that this is just the very necessary stage, of the two of your development and your experience of, and your understanding of love and connection of yourself. They also say you're magical, you inspire. I would not be here today if it were not for your love. So again, acknowledging something definitely has been activated within them. They're seeing you as kind of the key to some other aspect, some other layer, some other dimension of their life that they didn't even know was possible. There's aspects of themselves maybe that are coming up, things they thought they had cleared, things they thought they had worked through that are being triggered all over again, or that they are being called to look at from kind of a different vantage point. Somebody who again is maybe a little bit hesitant to sort of reopen old wounds, but nonetheless these things have been pointed out to them as still kind of dwelling within them, still kind of creating that contortion within them as far as how they are able to give and receive love and connection. And so a powerful transformational energy that is taking place. And, through the silence, through any kind of period of withdrawal within this person, there's a lot happening internally within them. There's a lot gestating within them. The signs are not going unnoticed by them. The telepathy you might be experiencing, they are feeling that as well. This feels like kind of this equal mix of sort of confusion and elation, as they are both, kind of inclined by the ego and by the fear, based thoughts and patternings to kind of pull away from this, or to push the otherness of this away. From the soul level, they're recognizing that almost a pathway has opened for them, a pathway to something very important in their life. And as much as they may try to resist, they are still nonetheless being sort of compelled and moved down that path, through that process of really facing these things, facing what has come up, digging deep within that to kind of discover and extract and kind of move beyond that root, or come to a new understanding of that root and the way in which that kind of manifests and is helping to kind of shift and change the direction of their life. So I'm going to get some guidance for you now, Group 1, about the situation. Okay, and for this guidance, I'm going to read out of the book for this card. So we have dream a little. So this person, the two of you could definitely be meeting in dreams. Also with this energy here, kind of this idea of a nautilus, sort of these cycles, things that are really coming up also from the subconscious, past wounds, memories, maybe even blocks and barriers to love that this person had overlooked up to this point in time, that are now really, again, coming to the surface, are asking to be addressed, are asking to be moved through. This card can really also be this guidance that whatever stage you find yourselves in now with them, this is a temporary phase, it's a necessary phase, and it's something which you both will kind of move beyond. You will transcend this in some manner and capacity. Okay. Dream a little. The divine wants to bless you with inspiration. Just as a lover would come to the door of the beloved with a spontaneous gift of flowers. So dream a little. Let your imagination wander and wonder. What if? What else could be? Breaking down the rigid walls of expectation. Just because something has been does not indicate that it must continue in the same way. So dream a little and receive your spiritual gift. This oracle brings you guidance. A spiritual gift of inspiration is on its way or has just recently been received. It isn't flight of fancy, it's a gift from the divine. Receive it and believe in new possibilities. From unexpected meetings, we talked and shared our lifetime. A gentle, peaceful, quiet time, reflected in our smile. We winged our way to distant places and walked along remembered faces of lives we knew we lived some time before. And like a bud about to flower, having reached its appointed hour, we watched ourselves begin to open in the warm touch of spring. So that is a really beautiful message there, and again ties in with this this idea of unfolding, the idea of the two of you really having triggered one another in this very beautiful way to kind of break down these walls, break down these ideas of self, these ideas of love and partnership and romance and love and the nature of that, how that may come about in your lives, what that may look like, kind of the feelings and the sensations and the experiences of that. In order to really transform and open one another up to kind of this next level of experience, this experience of love, this gift of love that wants to come in. And so it's something also, again, kind of this cycling back around, meeting each other in dreams, having this telepathy, kind of learning to create that bridge between what it is you're experiencing in a 3D sense and what you're experiencing with this person, kind of from that higher aspect, that higher dimension with them, and understanding as well kind of the necessity of this period in this connection, this time of transformation, almost this gift of time and space for the two of you to be able to go within, to be able to, face some of these things that have come up, some of these fears, some of these wounds, and to transcend these things in order to step deeper into that capacity to give and receive love to yourself and in turn to one another in the future. So I'm going to get some initials for you now. Group 1, this can be first, middle, or last name of you or this person, or it could spell something out, just whatever resonates for you. Got U, V, D, M, E, X, N, I, B, and K. So those are your messages, group 1. I hope that they resonated with you and that you enjoyed the reading. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up, comment, subscribe, or share. If you'd like a personal reading, I offer them through my Etsy shop, and there's a link in the description box of the video for that. I also sell handmade jewelry and some divination tools in my Etsy shop if you're interested in checking those out as well. I hope to see you again in another reading. Please take care and be well. Hi, group 2. You chose the blue calcite along with these cards, which I will start with to get an idea about what are their thoughts and feelings about you in the connection. Got the 9 of Cups, Queen of Cups, Wheel of Fortune, the Hierophant, Deceit, the Temple Path, Lotus Flower, Unfoldment, Fairies, Earth Magic, Ask Your Soul, and Transformation. So with the 9 of Cups and the Queen of Cups, this person is really looking at you as kind of embodiment of love in a way that is very pleasing for them, very unexpected for them. Granted, they may find you very attractive. There's something about you, something about your energy, something about the way they feel when they are interacting with you, when they are in your presence, which offers them this sense of sanctuary, this sense of healing. This sense of being very safe to express themselves, very safe to open up to love, maybe open up to love again after a period of being kind of closed off, maybe a period of, kind of recovering from some heartbreak, taking some time to kind of be alone, to find themselves, maybe a challenging point in their life that they have just come through. And this connection can almost just be this idea of sort of a breath of fresh air that has really awakened something within them, or is inviting them to step more fully into the light of love that is there, that is beckoning for them. There's a sense with the Wheel of Fortune of, again, kind of moving out of a cycle, maybe a series of relationships or a type of partner that they were used to dealing with. And something about this connection, about your energy, about you being so very different from that. Almost like an invitation to a new experience of love, a new level of love. Kind of stemming also from some cycles that they may have completed within themselves, and this connection really having presented itself to them as kind of that signal from the universe that the time is now to sort of experience something different than what they had done before. If this person had really been kind of seeking to break out of some cycles, break out of some kind of toxic patterns of how they themselves were showing up in relationships, or types of partnerships that they were entertaining, maybe some codependency, maybe things that were a little more low vibrational, a little more surface, something that maybe was not very emotionally deep in the past, which kept them in a comfort zone of not opening themselves up to being hurt, not opening themselves up to being known at their authentic self. Something also, maybe connections which didn't really challenge growth within this person, but connections of the past which might have been very happy with wherever this person was at. Didn't really expect much out of them in terms of emotional evolution. Two people that were kind of just in it while times are good, and then when things got a little challenging, then those connections would pass. Those connections would sort of fade away. And so something about this dynamic, very triggering for this person, but at the same time, really inviting them to kind of have a deeper experience of connectedness and of partnership than what they may have known previously. This could be something that they were actually literally trying to work toward releasing some patterns within themselves, calling in a different type of partner, calling in different types of experiences within their life. There's a sense of this connection showing up, and maybe that being a little overwhelming for this person. Almost, kind of like that wish fulfillment and that happiness showing up, but them getting a little little bit nervous about. Are they ready to take that leap? Are they ready to take that step? Maybe feeling a little bit unprepared within themselves to really cross that threshold. With deceit, this can be something where they've almost, to a certain extent, maybe been in some denial as far as their readiness for love. And this connection really having brought some things up, triggered some things, it is bringing that to their attention, that there's some more work they need to do within themselves. There's a little more they need to do in terms of loving themselves, coming to that place of acceptance and trust that to put themselves out there, flaws and all, is the only way to, really interact with kind of the soul, with the relationship, with the partnership that is meant to understand them, that is meant to embrace them in that more complete level of who they are, as opposed to maybe just putting that best face forward, maybe just presenting the best side of themselves, or keeping things a little more surface. There's a depth to this connection, something that's really being called from this person to kind of rise up. Maybe issues and aspects of themselves they've really kept hidden, things that they've worked on that they don't really talk about, don't really want to address, that this connection is really kind of bringing to the surface. It's really compelling them to address these things, to let these things be known, to let somebody know that side of themselves, to really create kind of that complete picture of who they are, touching on elements of the past, in order to, really provide some context with who they are at this point in time, and to give some perspective on what they want going forward. And so in a sense, this could be almost like the sense too with the Wheel of Fortune. The two of you crossing paths at a very, specific time, this being a very kind of destined connection, despite what's happening with you in the material sense with this person, maybe some hesitation that they have, some doubt about, are they ready for love? Are they ready for this? Are they ready for this intensity at this point in time, that might be causing a little bit of kind of stagnation or anxiety on their part, causing them to kind of hold back from really taking that plunge and moving forward. Almost this energy of kind of backing away from this connection, as much as they are pulled toward it, as much as they're compelled toward that. And all of this being this very necessary kind of threshold or gatekeeper, this very, well-timed experience in both of your individual realities, where whatever's being triggered within this person, their actions, how that is then reverberating to you, how you are internalizing that, how you are perceiving yourself. This is a challenge in self-love for both people. This definitely is a situation of, again, this person being challenged to kind of go within, to love themselves more, to come to that understanding that they are enough, that the love they have for themselves is enough. It is more than enough. That what they have is worthy of a partner, that as much as they may have been, rejected in the past, or again, kind of accustomed to maybe lower vibrational partners, more kind of toxic dynamics, that, the only way to really move beyond that is to take a chance in moving beyond that, to put themselves out there, to really, place that trust in the universe, that what they have been trying to manifest, what they've been working on within themselves, that it will show up, trusting in that discernment within themselves, to really recognize if something doesn't feel right, and honoring that urge to take some distance, take some space, or to move in another direction. And a bit of hesitancy on this person's part to really take that plunge, to turn that page, to step forth into this new chapter. Maybe a little bit of things that have been triggered in terms of clinging to that outdated or wounded or less than worthy version of themselves, this belief system they had about themselves, that this connection, that the energy, the vibration between the both of you, this very loving energy, it challenges that. There's this sense of you just being very, even energetically, receiving of this person as they are, recognizing that, seeing that wholeness within them that they themselves may be struggling to really recognize within themselves. Seeing them from that place of completeness as opposed to that place of lack that they themselves might have perspective of. And then also on the flip side of that, definitely, of course, their sort of their behavior and whatever it is that has been triggered, or whatever hesitation is happening, where they're just not taking that momentum momentum to move things forward, or move things forward at a pace that you would like. The challenge then to really not internalize that, the challenge to remember what you have worked on within yourself, this place of love and this sense of certainty that you are lovable, that you have cultivated and are cultivating within yourself. And this situation with this person really being that test or challenge, to not diminish that, to not erode that, to kind of not allow outside people and whatever is kind of affecting them and sort of motivating their behavior or their inaction, to not allow that to disturb your peace, to not allow that to compromise or make you really call into question sort of your worthiness, the place of self, understanding and self-love that you've come into in yourself, recognizing, this vibration of love that you exude, and realizing as well that, somebody kind of pulling back or placing some kind of rejection or a temporary hold on something, being almost, kind of denying the cup of love, denying that, potential, or not taking that step forward. It's in no way a measure of your worthiness, that it's something where, not everyone will receive you in that same way, recognizing and focusing on your abundance, the abundance of the love that you have to give, recognizing that gift that you hold within yourself, and continuing to kind of step forward, continuing to, embody that and exude that in all you do, in the way you move through the world. So definitely kind of a very challenging situation for the both of you on this emotional level. This feels like somebody who, is having these deep feelings for you, is being very compelled to you, is seeing you as this wish fulfillment, as this satisfaction, a situation where they could feel very happy and they could feel very content and they feel very safe in your presence. But at the same time, there's this sense of not being sure if they're ready for that, not being sure if they're ready to experience kind of a new facet of love, a new capacity of being loved and being accepted for who they are, exactly as they are at this point in time. And with the Temple Path and the Hierophant, this is definitely, a higher level spiritual connection between the both of you. These are some spiritual lessons. Again, that lesson in self-love that has really been triggered within this person, that is being kind of triggered within you, the two of you really being called back home to self in this circumstance, being called to go within, to seek that guidance, to find that truth, to find that peace within yourself, in order to take that step forward bravely, to create that momentum, to actively turn the page, as opposed to, just kind of almost coming in with only partial intention or partial ability to really sustain that, to really participate in that in a reciprocal sense. And so with Temple Path and the Hierophant, this can also be some downloads that this person is getting about you, guidance from their higher self, somebody who is really taking time to go within, to seek that quiet sanctuary within themselves, with Ask Your Soul here, to really kind of listen for that quiet voice within that is, helping them to kind of work through these triggers, that is helping them to really understand that it is safe to love, that you are a safe person. This is a safe space for them to really open up, to really explore themselves, to, unwrap this gift of love, this cup of love that is being offered to them, kind of talking themselves off the ledge, so to speak, in terms of maybe these fears or these triggers about not wanting to repeat past cycles, being a little bit hesitant to fully immerse themselves in this connection out of, kind of the memory of other instances of romance that, might have been very compelling to them and then turned out kind of in a sense of leaving them feeling very tricked, leaving them feeling very misled, questioning their intuition, questioning their heart. There's a sense of this person really needing to learn to trust in that again, learn to trust in that internal guidance and the signs that they are getting, to recognize as well the growth that they have done to overcome some of these things, to break away from some of these patterns and habits and cycles in their life, and understanding that, the true kind of pinnacle of that is taking that chance, taking that leap of faith, having a very active and tangible and material experience of something quite different from what they had in the past. But a little bit of hesitation to really accept that, to really believe that it's here, that the time is now, that what they've been working toward, what they've been wishing toward, has in fact manifested to them. There could be a sense too with this idea of a lotus flower and kind of how they push up out of this muck and this mud, and then all of a sudden there's this, this beautiful, fragile and graceful flower in kind of this environment that you wouldn't ordinarily think would be the place where you would find such tenderness, in such kind of a miracle of circumstances almost. And so there's a sense here of kind of this person wondering if this is too good to be true, a sense of really kind of questioning themselves, questioning that intuition, maybe being a little overly doubtful about the direction that they are being pulled in. But all of this really being part of that process of, their soul nonetheless pulling them in your direction. Kind of somebody who's might be a little bit hesitant, but is still seeking that, is still questioning that, is still, trying to kind of figure that out and to try and get to the root of that, to come into a space of comfort within themselves. This feels like something also with kind of this imagery here of this spiral where they're cycling around this, they're circling around this, they're kind of evaluating all of this. What are they feeling? What are they experiencing? How does this relate to what they've experienced in love in the past? What are some things that they need to watch out for? What are some things that, they need to let go of? What are some things that, are barriers that no longer serve them, or things that they need to keep in place and honor about themselves in order to, really create a different kind of experience in love and respect of one another than they might have had in connections in the past. With this fairies card here in the reference to earth magic, this person could be spending a lot of time in nature, trying to ground themselves, trying to kind of move out of this very sort of distraught emotional energy into a space of trying to find peace, trying to find tranquility, trying to find some kind of grounding and stability here in order to, again, really open up to receive, in order to be able to process and to understand what is taking place here, to understand the significance of what this connection, what this situation with you is offering to them. A sense here of a wider perspective being gained as well with transformation, that through any kind of energy of this person holding back from you, maybe pulling away emotionally, kind of going cold, withdrawing that loving attention, withdrawing that loving energy. There is a lot that is happening beneath the surface within this person. A lot is becoming clear to them. They're almost, it feels like in a space of kind of trying to breathe their way through this, trying to kind of calm themselves down, trying to self-soothe, trying to, really kind of put things into perspective, to recognize kind of the evolution that has taken place in other areas of their life, and understanding that, as kind of scary and exhilarating as this situation is, as being very compelled toward that healing is. That the connection offers to them, starting to recognize as well how they might be kind of clinging to that pain and that disappointment, having become so familiar to this person, that they're starting to really gain that perspective that this connection and kind of the dynamic between the both of you, it offers this potential for this kind of higher love, this next level love that they may have been seeking, that they may have been looking for, that they may have come to the point in their life where they had ceased to believe could be found. There's a sense of magic that is infused here, a lot of synchronicities that could be going on within this person, or within this person's life, even things within this person that is starting to really kind of make sense, to where they're very drawn to this, they're very allured by this, but at the same time a little bit of that pessimism kind of coming up, somebody who's not wanting to get carried away with this, not wanting to open themselves up to that disappointment again, recognizing what all it took to get to the place that they are at in their life right now, and being very guarded with that, being very protective of that, and not just wanting to give that away or to open themselves up or leap too quickly into a situation situation that, may just almost be stemming from some kind of an illusion or a hopefulness within this person that didn't turn out then to be reality. But there is a transformation happening with that, where these fears are being worked through. They're calming down a little bit. They're gaining some perspective about this. They're starting to see you, starting to see this connection, starting to see themselves and kind of the point of intersection that the two of you are at in your lives. And they're starting to kind of put those pieces together, seeking that higher guidance and finding that reassurance that, this is not just another example of kind of a deceptive energy. This is not another example of somebody that's going to take advantage of their heart or mishandle their heart. Somebody who won't really appreciate or be able to give fully to, them on an emotional level. This person definitely could be kind of a giver, sort of an empath, and they may be used to kind of interacting with narcissistic people, codependent relationships. And so there's this hesitation within them to perhaps get into that once again. Other instances where things seem too good to be true and turned out to in fact be that way. Or situations that seem very much in alignment that kind of unraveled and dissolved into something very much on the contrast of what they initially presented themselves to be. And so all of these things really being factored into this person right now. They're thinking about you a lot. You're definitely in their heart space. This is something where, again, kind of this need to go within, this need to ground, this need to really tap in and listen for that guidance, for that direction as far as, can this be trusted? Is this something? Are they ready to take that step, to turn that page? Are they ready to kind of put into practice what it is that they've been learning, what it is that they've been doing? Are they ready to experience a different kind of love than they may have had up to this point in time? So in terms of signs with the cups, we have water energy, Pisces, Cancer, and Scorpio. With Wheel of Fortune, that is mutable energy for me as a reader, which is Pisces, Gemini, Virgo, and Sagittarius. And the Hierophant is Taurus. So I'm going to get some messages from their higher self for you now, group 2, and see what do they want to say. Okay, and they say, I couldn't let you get close to me. So again, this person's very protective over their heart. They may have had some pretty profound disappointments in love in the past. And it's taken a lot to really, with that lotus flower, to kind of come up out of that, to rebuild themselves, to reemerge from a very difficult and painful period in their life emotionally. And it's something to where, as much as they've done this work within themselves, they've worked on that self-love, they've worked on that healing within themselves. And, the time now has come to really carry that forth into the material world. Kind of that internal work has reached this point in time where now it is the point of needing that tangible material experience of that to kind of confirm and to really to help explain and to, reinforce and open up a new level of that understanding of what may have just been kind of theory up to this point in time. Kind of these ideas of self-love, telling ourselves that we love ourselves, that we're deserving and worthy of a healthy relationship or a reciprocal partnership, but all of that being in the realm of theory until we actually open ourselves up and can put some kind of perspective on that through experiences in the physical world with others. And so this person having done a lot of preparation work within themselves, but starting to recognize through this connection that they might just be not quite ready yet to take that out into the material world, to actually experience what it is that they've been planning and preparing for and working toward internally within themselves. They also say, I lost myself for a little while. So this person could have been quite accustomed to being alone. Somebody who, might have become very comfortable in their ideas of love and partnership. Somebody who might have really just kind of created resolve within themselves, maybe that they were unlucky in love. And Wheel of Fortune can often be seen as a card of luck. And so there's a sense of questioning with this person that this connection and you really turning up in their life, the two of you really, sparking something, there being something very tangible in the heart space between the both of you. That this is something which, it's starting to call that belief system into question within this person, where, and they're a little bit hesitant to believe that, like, are they finally going to be lucky in love? Is this something, is this too good to be true? Is this just another example of kind of building that momentum only to, kind of fall and crumble and crash at the end of that? And so they're starting to understand here with this energy of kind of withdraw and going within, listening to that quiet voice inside, the ways in which kind of the wounds of the past may be sort of blocking or obstructing their ability to receive abundance in the form of love, which the universe is providing them through kind of the vehicle of this connection and this interaction with you. And they also say, I regret lying to you. So there's a sense that whatever they may have told you, whatever ways in which they may have kind of pulled back emotionally, that this didn't really touch on the true nature of what was going on within them, what was triggered within them. There's a sense of, again, this person being uncertain if they are lovable as they are, if when you kind of dig deeper into the emotions of this person, when the two of you really, advance this connection or kind of come upon some shadows within one another and really are then faced with kind of working through these things or moving your separate ways. There's a sense within this person of them not being sure if you're going to like what you see beneath kind of the exterior, beneath whatever has been presented to you at this point in time. And, rather than kind of expressing that vulnerability, expressing that fear, which is, it's quite natural, a fear, fears of those natures, it's natural to not want to express that. That's part of kind of the makeup of that fear, is that very kind of that internal critic, that sense of self-doubt. And so, it's not outright deception in terms of lying, but it's not giving the full story of what's going on. Whatever kind of point that you two have come to where some kind of distance has happened, or this person is really hesitating from taking things to the next level, investing emotionally fully in this connection, opening themselves up to receive the love that you have to give in a more complete manner, in a more consistent manner, in a more genuine manner. All of this, it feels, is really, it's just kind of stemming. It's a barrier for some kind of feeling of inadequacy within themselves, or a questioning within themselves. Maybe reminders of others in the past who didn't value what they had to bring in terms of love, in terms of who they are. Others who were kind of careless with their heart, careless with their emotions, or again, some kind of narcissistic tendencies in partners that they were used to dealing with, where, they may have found themselves only tending to the emotional needs of others at the expense of themselves, being almost an overgiver. And so there's a sense of not necessarily wanting to address that with you, not necessarily feeling comfortable of expressing that vulnerability, because it's something they're still working out within themselves. Okay, and they say, I feel like I ruined everything. So they're sitting in some regret about maybe a decision to kind of pull away from you emotionally, or some kind of hesitation that is creating this energy of impatience or hopelessness within you about this connection progressing to the next level, or the two of you being able to really rise out of the current circumstances. There's a sense here of them taking a lot of that blame onto themselves. That inner critic really flaring up at this point in time, and kind of reinforcing that idea within them that they're not good enough, that they're not worthy of being loved, of being received, of being known as a whole person, flaws and all. And so this feels like something that they're really, based on their actions or their inactions up to this point in time, they're taking a lot of that blame onto themselves for these circumstances. And it's really also something where, they're wanting to let you know it's not you. This is something within them. This is kind of this hesitancy, this hang up, this kind of resistance to kind of move forward or to lean deeper into this connection. It's really stemming from something that may be a deeply entrenched issue within them that they have, it's been very difficult for them to overcome this. It may have taken a lot for them to kind of work through these patterns within themselves. And there's a feeling of disappointment, a sense of knowing within them, kind of this soul knowing that this safety that they feel with you, the connection that they feel with you, it's different from what they have experienced, and yet they're second guessing that. It's this idea of the universe almost presenting them with that gift of love, and them almost like refusing to take that, refusing to really believe that it's real, feeling it's too good to be true, and very cognizant of how that doubt within them is really creating kind of delays, or their feeling may have also really kind of obstructed or derailed what you were building toward together in this connection. And they also say, I feel I can't give you what you need. So again, some self-doubt within them about if they are worthy, if what they have to give, beneath the veneer, beneath kind of the good times that you've shared, but as you start to get to know the contrast within this person, the shadows within this person, kind of their hang-ups and even some of their quirks, their peculiarities, things about them that other people in the past had really rejected, had not understood, had not appreciated, had not valued, had not known how to handle and to appreciate and cherish. There's a sense within this person of maybe some self-esteem issues as well, and kind of doubting that lovability, again, kind of the caliber of the love that they have to give. And if it's something that based on that very nurturing and very open emotional energy that you have, they're not certain if they can meet you at that level, or if what they have to present to you will be adequately received. If when you kind of see beyond that, you scratch beneath that surface, you get to know each other deeper, time passes. Is this something where kind of this idea of illusion, this idea of this bliss really fading, and the reality being kind of a letdown? And so some of that can be some fear that has caused this person to kind of hesitate from taking that next step, or to continue that momentum in what you are building together. And we also have jealous and possessive. So this can be some of that shadowy energy that they have been trying to kind of hide from you. There's a sense of being very allured by you, very drawn to you. A sense of really, just wanting to drink up this energy and to, really saturate themselves in your energy. Not wanting to really share that with others. Somebody who, might also be kind of a serial monogamous, somebody who, is kind of a romantic, somebody who, when they love deeply and they love hard. And that can come out almost in sort of these shadows and distortions at times of, again, kind of this energy of jealousy, a feeling of kind of competitiveness, or a fear of maybe needing to fend off other competitors, sensing this very nurturing and very loving energy from you, and recognizing that, as much as they are drawn to that, kind of perceiving or maybe even seeing that you have other suitors, that there are other people that might be, around you, or could come into the situation in the future, and then that being some form of competition, something they need to worry about, something they need to think about. And again, that kind of feeling of inadequacy, of what they have to give is enough to kind of keep you connected to them, keep this connection alive and vibrant. They may have dealt also with kind of partners in the past with cheating or deception or lying, where attentions were spread very thin, or this person was made to feel that, they always must prove themselves. They always must be bringing 100% to the table, or else they would be, discarded. They would be kind of left aside. Somebody who is really accustomed to giving and didn't really have those needs and that reassurance met for them. And so again, this idea of kind of the shadowy side of themselves, of somebody with a very deep heart, a deep emotional capacity that they just, they kind of are keeping to themselves at this point in time. They're very possessive of that, possessive of the work that it has taken, the time that it has taken to get to this point in their life emotionally, to regain some stability after, instances of loss and heartbreak, kind of breaking out of some cycles of codependency, narcissistic dynamics, learning to love themselves and to honor themselves, their boundaries and their own needs. And it's something where, it's part of that growth. It's part of that evolution of honoring oneself and empowering oneself. But at the same time, it's now kind of presenting as this obstacle of kind of opening up, letting down some of those barriers, letting down some of those guards, and allowing love to kind of filter and flow in. Okay, and they say, I act happy, but I'm not. So again, some shadowy energies here. This person could have some issues with depression, things that they don't want you to see. They might put on kind of a happy face, trying to put on sort of a front that they have everything together, that everything is, just as they would like it in their life. But then they could go through some very dark moments of self-doubt, of really not feeling worthy. This could be something they've been struggling with throughout their life, though, that feeling of not being good enough. And it's something where there's a little bit of hesitation about if they let you in, if they let you see that aspect of themselves, how are you going to respond? How are you going to react? Are you going to lose love for them? Is this going to be, another example of somebody who, when confronted with this person's darkness, just ran away or took advantage of that, used that to their advantage? They see you as somebody who, has a lot of the light of love within you, and they're very drawn to that sanctuary, to that space. There's a sense within their soul that they know that this is a place where they can be open and they can be free, that they can be seen and accepted and loved for exactly who they are, flaws and all. But there's a doubt within them, kind of that logical mind, or even sort of the kind of the neurological residue of experiences of disappointment in the past that is kind of bringing to the surface some of these kind of more tangible and sort of stressful and uncomfortable aspects of that energy of transformation, that energy of change. Transformation and change, it's not always a comfortable process. It's usually, in fact, very difficult, very jarring to let things go. The letting go even can be easy, but that process of stepping into the new, that can be something that, it takes a lot of momentum. It takes a lot of pressure to just kind of pop beyond that barrier within self and to take that leap of faith, to take that step forward. And so this could be quite a process for this person to really let that guard down, to open their heart, to let love in, and to open themselves to the reality that they are worthy and deserving of receiving healthy and reciprocal love. Opening up to this idea and understanding that not all experiences that they have had in love in the past dictate the future. They've worked through some other cycles in their life, and it's really a matter of shifting that perspective that they are worthy, deserving, and capable of generating, attracting, and building different experiences in love in their life. And they also say, I've thought about living together. So they see the two of you as very compatible. They feel very, drawn to you. Again, that idea of living together, that sanctuary, feeling this, the sense of peace in your presence. And it is something that really draws them, but it feels very much also outside of that realm of this kind of underlying tone of sort of self-doubt, or even a little bit of self-loathing that they have been carrying around with them. Somebody who, as much as they may have done some work to break through some cycles, is still to some capacity carrying around a lot of that distortion that other partners from the past, or even things stemming from childhood that may have really kind of warped their perspective of who they are and the value of their love and what they have to give. And so there's a sense of being drawn to you to kind of create and experience a new concept of of love with you, a new dynamic of love, a new exchange of love that is outside of their comfort zone. But at the same time, you know, that hesitation to really trust in that fully, to open themselves up to that fully, and to really, you know, come into that reality that in order to experience change, we must take a leap of faith in the direction of change. They also say, I'm going to take action. I'm just planning the approach. So they're thinking a lot about this, recognizing some things within themselves. This feels like somebody who is not just pulled back into this shell and is content to remain there. There's a lot that's still happening with this, as they have kind of gone within, gone inside, and you know, they're seeking that guidance. They're seeking some clarity. They're seeking to understand this. This person is self-aware enough to recognize something has been triggered within them, and they are now almost on this quest to figure out, what is that? Why has this been triggered? What is this trying to teach me? How can I overcome this? Is this something that I want to perpetuate, or is now the time to kind of break that pattern, break out of that cycle and that habit, step in the direction of something new? So it's, you know, they do want to come forward. They do want to create change in this circumstance. It's just a matter of almost kind of rerouting themselves to that destination that the two of you were headed when you initially connected, when this connection was kind of building in momentum, when it came to that point where they are kind of at a standstill or where they pulled away. Again, this sense of not wanting that to be the end of things, but really taking some time to kind of analyze that, to look into that, to kind of peel the layers back to that, and to understand kind of what is the deeper meaning of that, and how can this be really used as a lesson, and what parts of this kind of process or this reaction are not serving to either of your highest good, and therefore should be kind of endeavored to be transcended. Okay, and they say, sometimes in this life, the hard lessons teach us to open our eyes to what we truly should be making space for. So again, this person, very self-aware, recognizing kind of in whatever sort of point of hesitation or whatever choice that was made to sort of pull away from this, it doesn't feel good. It doesn't feel right to them. There's a sense of questions that have been opened. There's a sense of needing to kind of break trail for a minute in order to go within, to process this, to figure this out, to unpack this. There's something here that has been illuminated for them, a knot which needs to be unraveled for them, in order to make space within themselves, kind of clear that clutter of the critic within them, move beyond, or at least kind of set that intention to move beyond those feelings, that residue of doubt about their ability to be received authentically as they are, their ability to receive this understanding and experience that their history in love does not need to dictate their future in love, that love is an ever evolving force, and kind of the facets of that, the depth of that we experience at different points in time, that does not need to just be the consistent theme and the pattern, that there's so much more to it. This connection almost being a key of sorts that unlocks something within them. There's been like almost a door that has been opened within them that is now calling them to explore this, calling them to explore a chamber of their emotional body, of their heart, of their understanding of themselves in relation to partnerships, and to really kind of evaluate, is this just more of what they want? They've touched something, they've tasted something that is different, that is beyond what they imagined love could be, or what their experiences of that has been in the past. And this is really this period of time of needing to kind of feel their way through the dark in that sense. to really open their eyes and to recognize that they may have been looking in all the wrong directions in the past for kind of the meaning of love, the definition of love and relationships, that they've been looking at something within themselves, within their worthiness to be loved and to give love. They've been looking at that through a lens of distortion. And so it's this energy of being cleansed of that, the perceptions being cleansed within this person, some perspective that they are gaining, that they may be operating as their own obstacle in this situation, that really, it's a matter of choice, and each choice will yield its own kind of series of sort of lessons and blessings and results. But there's kind of this energy here of continuing along what has been familiar, known, continuing to carry some kind of pain or some kind of self-doubt, or through this connection, really unshouldering that burden and allowing themselves to be elevated, to be lifted, to experience, to touch, to taste, to feel, to be in the presence of this higher level love that they may have imagined, that they may have wanted, that they may have been yearning for. And I have kind of subconsciously held some doubt about its existence, about its reality. When confronted with that, they are now then confronting those illusions that they have created within themselves, those doubts that they've created within themselves. And it's a matter of choosing what they will trust in. Will they trust in that kind of that fear and that pessimism? Will they let that go and choose to trust in kind of the miracle and the magic of love as it is presented in the form of this connection? And they also say, I only see storms and clouds right now. I hope the rain will come and cleanse my soul. I am looking for that silver lining. So again, confronting some kind of deeply entrenched self-esteem issues maybe within themselves, residue and debris from heartbreak of the past, and kind of taking the time, needing to take the time to recognize that. How has that really colored their perception of themselves? How has this really dimmed their perception of what love should look like, of how, who they are as an individual, and what, how completely they, should be able to show up in a relationship. This could be somebody who's really felt the need to kind of dull themselves down, to kind of compartmentalize aspects of themselves, aspects of their life, in order to not burden a love connection with that, because they've maybe never experienced anybody before that has been able to kind of take in the full picture, that has been able to understand and accept and receive them for who they are. They may have been dealing with people that were not understanding and able to kind of recognize and receive all facets of self, and therefore were only able to kind of meet others at a romantic level that was somehow limited, or was somehow, only kind of reserved for a certain level or state of conditions. And so sort of the totality of this love, the potential of that, again, very much outside of this comfort zone of this person. This almost feels like this energy of needing to sew all the pieces together, instead of kind of looking at sort of these separate things, the past, the present, the future, this very linear kind of organized and logical progression of things. There's a sense of this person being compelled into this this sort of cyclical energy, kind of compelled into recognizing how the past can provide that wisdom and those lessons, in order to kind of bring in that future, bring in that hope, revive those hopes and dreams that still dwell somewhere before they were kind of distorted or sort of muddied by the experiences of kind of less than fulfilling love in the past, and how in this present moment there is that ability to say, I've held on to whatever this is long enough. It is now time to let it go, so that what I have always wanted, what I had hoped to receive and maybe had just kind of cast off as a dream or wishful thinking, so that has the ability to kind of come in. This is somebody who's in this process of, really wanting to believe in the magic of love, wanting to believe in the magic of new beginnings, but again is still a little bit hesitant, still is facing some of those fears, some of those shadows, some of those voices within them that tell them that they are not good enough, that in time that, this connection will only give way to disappointment as all other loves in the past have. So somebody who's really confronting that, somebody who's really needing to battle those adversaries that dwell within them, that dwell within their subconscious and that are coming up in order to be recognized, so they can transcend to the next level of self and be able to transcend into the next level of experiencing this connection with you. Okay, and we also have love endures, love transcends, love creates. So again, that energy of transcendence here and transformation, kind of this person facing some of that darkness within themselves, in order to kind of create this new vision for what they imagine is possible in love. There's a sense here again of a very high level love, a new experience of that, an infusion of that, a feeling of safety, a feeling of being known, being very compelled to open themselves up on an emotional level that they may not be accustomed to with others. This is a sense of this person feeling very connected to you still, and still very safe in your energy, very safe in this space with you, to go through these things, to process these things, to come to this awareness and this conclusion on their own and when the time is right, so that the two of you can kind of transcend this situation. So this person can kind of transcend these blocks and obstacles within themselves and really push that momentum forward, turn that page in this situation. So I'm going to get some guidance for you now, group 2, about the situation. And for this part, I'm going to read out of the book as well, but we have Heart of the Moment. So this is very fitting in terms of, with that red, that root chakra energy, and that really ties into, a person's feeling of safety, and this person maybe not necessarily feeling that it is safe to open up to love, not being sure if you're going to, receive them in their authenticity, how that's going to feel, what that's going to look like, if they have enough to offer to you, if you're what they are looking for. Once you really kind of penetrate and go beyond kind of the bliss and the surface level of the interaction between the both of you. But the more that they come into this space within themselves of really being comfortable in their own skin, really recognizing that they are enough, they are worthy, they are beautiful just as they are, that what they may be considering shadows or flaws within them, it's a magnificent contrast to the light, and to these really sort of high vibrational aspects of them, these victories, these triumphs, the work that they have done within themselves, all of that creating kind of this intricate fabric of contrast within them, kind of this journey of needing to again really embrace that, really trust in that knowing, trust in what they have worked toward, and also trust in the possibility of new beginnings, understanding that they are at this crossroads, and there's a choice to either move beyond comfort zones or to remain stuck, to limit themselves in some way in terms of their growth of the understanding of what is possible in love. And so some work, again, this root chakra, this base chakra, going within, doing this work within, coming to that space, that grounding point within themselves, in order to really kind of be infused, to kind of be brought up, to rise into love. So let's see. Okay. Heart of the Moment. You are entering a time in your life where past and future are colliding. In this present moment, you have a powerful opportunity to decide how you wish to continue in a certain pattern of relating or not. This may mean leaving a relationship or starting a new one. But even if you cannot yet make that decision with peace in your heart, you can still partake of the heart of this moment and decide how you shall choose to be. Will you speak? Will you choose to let go of shame and criticism, of judgment and anxiety, of loss and despair, and just be with your own heart now? Will you choose in this moment to trust yourself, even if that trust says that you have to wait a while longer before you can make a more long-term decision? This is a time when you can alter your future, stepping into a relationship with another, with the divine, with yourself in a new way. Even the smallest choice for love is a step in the best direction. You have the heart of the divine within you. It's not too hard for you to choose love. Let go of the people who want you to choose jealousy or fear or doubt. Their games are not nearly as fun. Choose love, and who knows, maybe they'll join your party instead. This oracle brings you a message. You are in a transition zone in your life and relationships. It is one moment that will manifest as many opportunities, where one choice will open up many pathways to fulfillment for you. We always have the chance to create our future with our present choices, but at this time, you are in an especially fertile karmic period, having just come out of a cycle of learning and about to enter into a new cycle. This is the time to be willing to take a chance or a risk to be happy within yourself, no matter what is going on around you. Your life is about to take a karmic turn, and you can feel peace in that knowing. Love provides the opportunity to express the core essence of our very nature. It touches us at a level of feeling beyond the human norm and renders our beings incapable of a feeling with greater depth or wonder. Love is the fabric of life. It is the substance that holds it all together and the magic that opens the unknown. It is the quality that speaks to our soul, that opens our heart, that excites our spirit and allows us into its presence, to become something greater than ourselves, something more than we are alone. So that's some very beautiful guidance. And again, kind of this period of choice that this person is in right now. They may have chosen to, for the moment, kind of pull away, to go within, to seek those answers, to find that stability within themselves before they take that next step forward. And that step might be, to continue around in kind of a cycle of what is comfortable, what is known to them. Everybody has that free will choice. But for a lot of you, this person will then, from that state of grounding, from that place of coming to a sense of safety within themselves, there will be a choice to move into the direction of love, to take a chance, to open up, to see what kind of an experience this very new and very kind of safe feeling that they have with you, what that can blossom into. It feels very much outside of what they have been accustomed to in love and in their life in a lot of ways. But it is something which nonetheless has presented itself to them. And they are starting to recognize that, it's almost this key kind of teaching moment for themselves. It's this doorway that is opening up to kind of a greater understanding of who they are, and an invitation to experience kind of a different and a more healing energy of love than they may have experienced in the past. So in terms of guidance for you, even taking that time to go within, to quiet yourself, to listen to that voice, to honoring yourself, recognizing that you are enough, that kind of the triggers within somebody that, causes them to not necessarily be ready and open and willing to take those next steps, that is in no way an evaluation of your worthiness or your lovability. So continuing to move forward, embodying that energy of love, exuding that, with the reassurance that in the time and manner in which it is meant to, it will be recognized and received by those who are, open and willing to step into that place of vulnerability, or who are, at that point, perhaps even this person coming to that point of being ready to take that chance, being ready to open themselves to the opportunity to experience kind of a new definition of love. So I'm going to get some initials for you now. Group 2, this can be first, middle, or last name of you or this person, or it could spell something out, just whatever resonates for you. Got G, D, Q, L, M, N, X, P, O, and Z. So those are your messages, group 2. I hope they resonated with you and that you enjoyed the reading. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up, comment, subscribe, or share. If you'd like a personal reading, I offer them through my Etsy shop, and there's a link in the description box of the video for that. I also sell handmade jewelry and some divination tools in my Etsy shop if you're interested in checking those out as well. I hope to see you again in another reading. Please take care and be well. Hi, Group 3. You chose the Quartz along with these cards, which I'll start with to get a feel for what are their thoughts and feelings about you and the connection. So we've got the Emperor, Three of Cups, the Devil, Two of Wands, Blossoming Abundance, Door to Personal Healing and Happiness, Music, Harmony, Tsunami, Wake Up Call, Nothing Has Gone Wrong, and Soul Journey. So with Soul Journey, this person may recognize you as a counterpart, as a soulmate, a twin flame, this yin yang here. A sense also of a past life connection between the both of you. The sense of familiarity that they have with you, maybe even some kind of visions, memories, downloads about past lives that you have had together. There's a sense of almost feeling that it's the two of you reconnecting again after a long period of time, or the sense of really knowing each other, even maybe at that initial point of having just intersected, of right when you were meeting each other for the first time in this lifetime. A sense of as your energies are kind of melding together, as you're really exchanging, dialogue with one another, spending time with one another. There's a sense of them, feeling like that they know you from somewhere, but not really sure where. And so some things kind of coming online, coming into this person's awareness, maybe even dreams of that, dreams of past lives that you two have shared together. That is really, it could be quite out of the ordinary for this person, having encountered somebody so profoundly that they have had, and that they're almost cognizant of, that they have this past life connection with. This could be kind of a rare thing for this person if they have ever encountered such people on kind of a conscious level in their life before. On the other side of that, this can also be bringing up kind of this feeling of other people that they have encountered, that they have really felt that past life connection with that devil energy. Some of those people, some of those connections, some of that feeling of familiarity at a certain point having dissolved into kind of some painful lessons or experiences with one another. So this could lead to a sense of guardedness, almost this excitement of the two of you interacting and connecting with each other once again, but then also that those kind of triggers and that memory coming up. Other times they felt a similar excitement about kind of connecting with a soul that is so familiar to them, and sort of what that kind of dissolved into, what that sort of led into. And so a feeling of almost wanting to put the brakes on this situation, push this connection away a little bit out of not wanting to re-experience a similar kind of series of events, not wanting to kind of unlock the door to healing through the form of wounding and disappointment once again. This can also really bring up some past life memories that have been triggered within them of difficulties that the two of you faced in other incarnations. Maybe this was a love that for whatever reason, there were obstacles and barriers, situations that came up where you two were torn apart, or the situation really dissolved, or it was a very unpleasant ending between the both of you. And so these things may be coming up in the form of visions for this person, or at the very least, kind of these feelings and sensations associated with that, the ways, the connotations that their soul makes to your soul, that on the conscious level, it might not be necessarily tangibly understood by this person, but it's almost a feeling of maybe wanting to like cling to this, but also a little bit of panic, surrounding this connection, surrounding the dynamic between the both of you, that is really, it's caused them to, both recognize the potential that exists between you at that blossoming abundance and the door to personal healing and happiness, but at the same time, kind of bringing with that is sort of that profound energetic residue of those difficulties, that pain and that loss that you had experienced together in previous incarnations. And so this connection, really this point in time, this experience in this lifetime, calling the both of you to do some kind of healing, to create some kind of harmony within yourselves individually, and and also in the way in which your two souls interact with one another. To kind of heal that, to maybe step into this love, to replace, instances and times where the love between you wasn't possible, or it was cut short, or it came to an abrupt end, and to step into that awareness and that knowledge that, this is almost a second chance, or, a 100th chance, or whatever, however many times you two have incarnated together. This is another opportunity. This doesn't need to be one of those lifetimes where things work out in a not so pleasant manner, that this can definitely be a lifetime of abundance for the both of you. This is a lifetime where, you're kind of making up for that lost time. This could be somebody that you haven't incarnated with for quite a while. And so there's this sense of maybe having been waiting for them, a sense of almost being brought to tears of joy at reconnecting with this person across time and space again. And this sense of being very uplifted by that, feeling very empowered by that. Almost this sense of having searched for each other across time and space, and you have found each other again, and the sense of victory and accomplishment, and again empowerment, the sense of acknowledgement that goes with that, but then also, needing to kind of address and sort of release and heal those tethers that are still connecting you through the kind of the liminal quality of time and space to those instances when things didn't work out, to that huge gap in linear time between incarnations when you two maybe didn't intersect with each other, or again, maybe a long time since the two of you intersected, and it was able to turn out and grow into something that is very abundant and very successful. Maybe the last couple incarnations have been kind of wrought with disappointment for the both of you. Kind of filling in those spaces of a little more of a dense energy. And then in this present incarnation, it's sort of the task of the both of you and kind of the gift and the privilege of the both of you to experience more of a harmonious dynamic between the two of you. That through those lessons in loss, something has been strengthened within you, within the soul level. And this is almost like, two fully articulated individuals coming back together in a state of wholeness, that out over the last several incarnations and even things that have occurred in your lifetime up to this point, you've achieved that sense of balance within yourself. And there's a sense of the two of you like magnets really being pulled, that this is the time, this is that crucial period of the two of you coming back together, starting to really recognize as well about how other circumstances, maybe, other disappointments, other cycles that the two of you have really broken out of in your life, in this lifetime, in other lifetimes, how that has really prepared you for this moment in time, this intersection place. It's, kind of one of those larger purposes of those struggles, those sense of really kind of breaking out of pride and ego, breaking out of the limitations of self, taking your power back, standing in your power, maybe releasing things, habits, people, places, things, addictions, anything that, might have been limiting you, addictions even to belief systems, beliefs about love, beliefs about, the nature of partnership, or your own ability to be lovable. Your own ability to be received very authentically. There's a path that's opening up here, a path that's presenting itself through this connection that this person is really kind of recognizing. They're really thinking about kind of taking that chance, maybe deviating course from where they have been heading, and really coming into alignment with this very unexpected, and it feels also this long-awaited period of time. Almost a sense of somebody who may have been waiting for something, but they weren't really sure what. Somebody who may have been really searching for something, kind of searching for a face in the crowd that they weren't really sure who that was. And then when the two of you have really kind of intersected and clicked with each other, it's like a switch has been turned on. Something has really come to life within this person, a sense of certainty that in some way that still kind of remains a mystery, you are what they have been searching for. This connection is what they have been searching for. But they're still in this process of, again, not being able to decipher, is this another lesson? Is this another example of, teaching through the form of loss? And kind of this hesitancy to really open up to teaching in the form of bounty, in the form of beauty, in the form of harmony, in the form of fulfillment, in terms of, emotional fulfillment, this very celebratory energy, somebody who might, have struggled really to kind of reclaim their power from other situations in their life, other relationships in their life, toxic or low vibrational relationships, lifestyles, patterns, people in their life. And it's been something that, they've worked really hard to do that. They've reached some kind of success within themselves in that manner. And kind of the unexpected nature of this emotional rush, this flood that is coming forth within them, that almost feels to... they feel this perception of it almost potentially threatening that if there's a sense with this of if things go awry in this connection, they're not sure how they would recover from that. There's a sense of just such a profound connectedness with you at the soul level beyond this incarnation that kind of, exceeds and renders obsolete this idea of linear time. It's something, this connection really opens this person to an expansion of their perception of themselves as a soul and their perception of their ability to connect with others. This is something that is maybe opening this person up to another aspect of their spiritual self. It has given them a wake-up call that their ideas about reality, their ideas about love, their ideas about partnership, that all of that has then almost in an instant been sort of energetically kind of torn asunder. All of that has kind of energetically been washed away. The horizon that they thought they knew, the landscape, the terrain, even of themselves, even their understanding of self that they thought they knew has been washed away. And with that is this kind of newness. There's also this sense of anticipation that, that this connection is as much as they may want to try and pull away from this, there's a momentum that is there. It is almost like now that you two have come into both of each other's awareness, it has set forces in motion that are beyond both of your capacity to control. That this is a situation, this is a connection that really is, it is compelling you both almost beyond the point of choice into that energy of trust. That there's change that is happening, there is movement that is happening, there are ripples that will happen through this and that are already starting to happen through this in different aspects of one another's life. And this can be quite unexpected for the both of you, something that might have started off just as, kind of friendship, something very kind of casual, something that was very kind of unexpected. The more that you two have energetically touched each other, or in a certain way, in a certain capacity, at a certain level, you two have really, again, kind of touched and sparked something within each other that has really, it's a page-turning force. It is something which, it's almost this idea of kind of a destructive and a creative energy all at once. It's a very divine connection. It's a very divine energy in terms of this awareness that this person has, that life as they knew it to a certain extent, how they knew themselves, how they defined love, how they understood that force, it has now kind of been toppled. It has been upended. They have just been kind of shown. They have been exposed to. They have now experienced and they have tapped into. They've clicked into, they have locked into this greater and expansive force of love that is beyond their imagining, that is beyond what they thought they were capable of, that is beyond what they were looking for. A lot of pieces starting to fall into place. This person could be in this kind of reflective time period right now, a lot coming in for them in the form of downloads, a lot coming up from their subconscious as well, where they're starting to really see how a lot of the, again, instances in their life in the past, how these things have all kind kind of started to add up. It's this energy of almost things they may have been aware of in the past or experiences in the past were foreshadowing for this moment in time, which can be kind of a, that's a, well, not kind of, that can be a very, very intense feeling, a very jarring feeling, a very rocking feeling. It's almost like, entering into this new atmosphere, this new awareness, kind of this energy of seeking and pushing and seeking to exceed boundaries within self, seeking to know oneself, only to kind of come to this place where then you're at this new dimension. You're all of a sudden at this new level, and it's a new, all the rules that applied before, all the things that you thought you knew are gone. Those are moot. It's going to require a new kind of an openness, an energy of kind of innocence and curiosity in order to really navigate this. This can be somebody who, really thought that they have had themselves figured out what they want in love, what love means to them, what abundance means to them, what happiness means to them. They may have been on a particular path of healing and had achieved great success in this manner. And then all of a sudden they have interacted and collided with something that really opens up kind of the new possibility, not just of things that need to be kind of healed and released, which I feel for the most part, this feels like a lot of this is really kind of residual soul energy. The two of you might be quite compatible in a lot of ways in the material world, but there's all this kind of these chords on the soul level that you're both being made aware of, that are not the methods of kind of releasing these things, acknowledging these things. These are not conventional methods. This is not the approach that this person has previously and up to this point taken to kind of collecting themselves, to creating a life, to fashioning a life for themselves, to moving through obstacles. This is almost, kind of needing to feel one's way through the darkness, needing to lean into that energy of trust and faith, opening to receive rather than actively pursuing answers. And so a very transformational energy, very overwhelming energy. A lot of harmony that this person feels towards you, but it almost feels like they're kind of struggling to catch their breath at this point in time. A lot of velocity to this as well. So this could be something where, you're picking up on that as the two of you really exchanging this, really sharing this, getting these downloads, getting this kind of expansion, this awareness, this understanding that something has changed, something has shifted, almost like, something has really opened up for the two of you individually, almost overnight, almost instantaneously. Something really, again, having clicked into place, and also with that kind of a new perception of the light of connectedness that is possible between two people. It's almost like gaining access to a different facet of the face of love than the two of you have really been privy to or even imagined had existed before, or could exist, or could be kind of experienced and processed by the human vessel, or by yourselves even, as a soul, as a, on the psychic level, on the emotional level. A lot churning up. This person could be, quite emotional, a lot coming up from the depths within this person as well. Kind of shadows of the past, ghosts of the past, kind of fears coming up, and at the same time, all of this potential coming up as well. This can also be somebody who, may have really been accustomed to, just certain aspects of themselves, shadow aspects of themselves that they had accepted as part of their reality, and these things really having fallen away. Things that they'd been struggling to overcome have now been released. They have been unbound from these things almost instantaneously. And so there's this sense of almost nakedness that this person is really experiencing, of really acutely being able to sense themselves without those encumbrances, without those burdens, without those things that were maybe holding them back. Kind of these chains that they had been dragging along with them are suddenly gone. They're suddenly loosed from them. And it's this feeling of kind of freedom and expansiveness that is still very new. It's somebody, almost this idea of like the butterfly when it comes out of that chrysalis and those wings are still very wet And it's that process of, kind of needing to navigate that, that taking flight for the first time and not just immediately soaring, but being a little bit wobbly with that, the intensity of that, kind of reaching that new level, that new terrain, that new experience, a door having been opened through this connection and through this situation to a new sort of experience of love and abundance than they may have been accustomed to or even imagined was possible. They feel a lot of love towards you, a lot of harmony in your presence. You're almost music to this person's soul. You both could be listening and connecting to one another through music, getting a lot of kind of messages from one another, kind of sending these messages to one another from the higher self level through song lyrics. That can be something as well where, because of the intensity of what's going on, you're both really inclined to just kind of put on the headphones and sort of retreat within to kind of breathe as much as you can through this very kind of intense turbulence, but also kind of that rush and that exhilaration of something new opening up. It's almost the idea of being contained in kind of a stuffy space, and the window is open and the breeze comes in, and just sort of that refreshing, that cool energy, that air, that life force that has been infused, has been awakened, has been reintroduced, or has become accessible to one another within yourselves individually, within the dynamic energetically between the both of you, and kind of needing to sort of process and weigh through sort of the fears and the newness that comes along with that. Definitely with also this yin yang here, they could consider you their twin flame, their counterpart, their soulmate. This connection may have really even introduced kind of a redefinition of what that is. These may have been really casual terms to this person before, and now, in practicality, in experience, they really know what that is. They may have informed themselves to some degree about these concepts. And now it's almost like the true definition of that, the true meaning of that, really having come into their life, having propelled them onto that spiritual path, something they've been preparing for quite some time. And it's almost at this stage of them not even realizing they were ready for this transition, for this phase, not being aware that this was coming, this catching the two of you very much off guard, being something that, at the soul level resonates. Again, that familiarity that you've been looking for each other, you've been waiting for each other, you've been journeying towards each other across time and space, not just in this lifetime, but in other incarnations. This feels like a very kind of a far-reaching, a very ancient connection between the both of you. And so it's this sense of homecoming, again, this very emotional coming together, but at the same time, kind of the swift reality of that. The instantaneous kind of toppling of ideas that you both had previously, concepts, what it was you were even looking for, where it was you were even, at in your life, and kind of being in this process of needing to kind of learn this new language, learn this new terrain. Somebody who may also be kind of, at that point of hesitation, of fully stepping onto this path, fully being ready to journey with you. This image here with the Fool, and he's got his little knapsack, and it feels like a lot of lessons have been learned, a lot of other doors have been closed, or through the intersection of the two of you, these things just sort of fell away almost instantaneously. And it's this sense of preparedness, and being made aware that the time is now. This is that time that you have both individually been preparing for in this lifetime and in lifetimes previous to this. And so a sense of gratitude, but also a sense of needing to hesitate, needing to just stand still for a minute to try and catch their breath, but feeling very empowered and very drawn to you, very excited by this, very exhilarated by this, almost like this treasure having opened, finding something that they have been looking for, maybe actively seeking in other ways and other manifestations in their life, and kind of that key, that component, a void that may have always sort of existed within this person, has now been kind of recognized from the flip side of that. They have stepped into this place of wholeness and awareness within themselves. And so kind of just becoming accustomed to that, being on the other side of that. kind of getting used to that feeling of searching and of missing and of longing for something or someone that they weren't really sure who or what that was, intersecting with that. And now that task is sort of completed, now that cry within their soul has been answered, has been heard, has been filled and fulfilled, where to go from there. It's almost like that idea of kind of reaching that pinnacle of success in some manner, and then that view from the mountaintop, and it's like, well, what next? What now? Where to go from here? The only way to go is up. So in terms of signs, with the Emperor we have Aries, with Cups we have water energy, Pisces, Cancer, and Scorpio. The Devil could be Capricorn, and Two of Wands is fire energy, Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius. So I'm going to get some messages from this person's higher self for you now, group 3. What do they want to say? Okay, and they say just being near you is intoxicating. So this is really talking about that elation that they feel with you, the thrill that they feel at finally having found what they have been looking for across many lifetimes. The two of you really activating and electrifying one another on a very profound and emotional level. This person recognizing the significance of this connection. They may also be sort of fearing this connection to some degree, with the Devil there, and that how that can kind of lead into the energy of obsession or codependency. There's a little bit of hesitation within this person, wanting to hold themselves back, not wanting to lose themselves to this connection, not wanting to allow themselves to fall too deeply into this, or to open that door to love, to not to wanting to kind of keep their bearings, keep their footing as much as possible. A sense of not wanting to, really use this connection as some kind of an escape, but at the same time being so drawn and so kind of calmed, kind of filled by this connection in a way that is very it's very unlike anything they have experienced with another person in this lifetime. And they also say, I will wait for a sign from you. So the two of you are definitely connecting at the higher self level, really encouraging each other, supporting each other as sort of your 3D selves. Get used to the intensity of this, start to process maybe these downloads, these visions, even these dreams that are coming through, starting to make sense of all of this as you navigate these fears and kind of work through that, and really guiding and supporting each other in that process. This person may also be a little bit hesitant about revealing some of the depth of what they are feeling to you, and so there could be some innuendo that goes on here, where they're feeling something very intensely. They have a perception that you feel it as well, but they're waiting for some of those kind of subtleties, those cues, those confirmations from you that this is not just, all in their head, that this is not just something which, is just kind of a fantasy that they are wanting to get carried, away with. They're waiting for kind of that confirmation that you're experiencing the same things, that you're on the same page with them, that you're cognizant of this, that you are recognizing this, and that you are at a place of wanting to work on things, wanting to build this, to grow this, to support one another in this experience of this new terrain. And they also say, I want you. So definitely drawn to you, magnetized to you. This is a very compelling energy. This definitely feels like the energy of two, almost like the opposite polarities of a magnet coming into place, clicking into place very, very audibly, very tangibly. and in a very profound way energetically. And, it's taking a lot on their part to resist this pull. There's only so far back that they can pull now that this awareness has come on, now that this wake-up call has happened within their soul, now that something has really, shifted within them. There's this inclination to kind of try and fight this, but it's almost like, sort of this losing battle, that the more they try and fight it, they're pulled back, they're compelled back, they can't help it. Okay, and they say, I have sexual fantasies about you. So they are drawn to you mind, body, and soul. Somebody that, is wants to explore all aspects of this connection. Somebody who feels not only drawn to you at the soul level, but is also deeply attracted to you. You could be exchanging some of that kundalini energy, some of that fiery energy, some of that creative energy that is just really infusing one another. You're really able to tap into that life force energy in a very visceral way, in an intense way that has not been possible with others. It's almost this concept of this very destructive and yet creative energy, clearing the way, clearing landscapes, clearing perceptions, by tapping into this energy, by experiencing this energy with you. And somebody who's very compelled to kind of take this out of the energetic realm into material reality as well. And they also say this was just a fling. So this can be some of that resistance, some of that doubt, where they're trying to kind of put those blinders back on very unsuccessfully, trying to convince themselves that, this is just all in their imagination. This is, not something, they're not ready for this. They just want something surface. They want to go back to what was comfortable, what was known to them before. And it feels like they're almost trying to, kind of talk themselves down, that this is just attraction, this is just a lustful energy, that this is not what it feels to be, this very profound and altering connection at the soul level for them. And so this can be part of that process of resistance, that pulling away as they are trying to just, sort of rationalize things away, trying to kind of dismiss the signs and what has been awakened within this person through this interaction and dynamic with you. But it feels very much that, any of this resistance that they are putting up, it's almost, it pales in comparison to how much they are drawn towards you. They can only pull away so far before they're just, they're washed over by this feeling. They're just drawn back to you. They're pulled back to you. Not even in an obsessive way or a codependent way, but just in a very natural way. Just in a sense of belonging, almost a sense of certainty that defies logic, that defies time, that defies all experiences, that challenges all experiences of love and connection they have had previously. And they also say, I love you. So there's that core truth. Beyond all of this, beyond the circumstances and how overwhelming this might be, this connection definitely has in some way, it is demonstrated and it has revealed to this person what love is. A new facet of love, a new potential of love, a new level of love, kind of a nearing to that core of love. What they feel with you, what they see in you, it unlocks something within themselves. This connection is really a key to that core of love that exists within you. This can be something where, this definitely feels, just again, this very much awash with this sense of kind of gratitude and having found each other again across time and space. Kind of this love that has been sought, this love that has been looked for, has finally been found very inexplicably, very unexpectedly, something that could be very overwhelming to this person, almost, having found what they were looking for, but maybe having built their life on kind of this energy of seeking. And now what? Now that that has been found, now what does that lead to? And wanting to try and push that away almost to a certain degree, because they become so comfortable with kind of that perpetual search, that perpetual inventory, that perpetual kind of analysis, not being fully able or willing to kind of open themselves and receive this gift that they have been working so hard toward, this prize or that not being able to really kind of understand or conceptualize or accept that their search has not been in vain, that what they have been seeking has been seeking them across time and space, and that the intersection point is now. And that this is, perhaps the lifetime then to sort of make the most of this time together, as opposed to, other instances where it was not possible, or the two of you never found each other, or, other kind of outside circumstances tore each other asunder. This feels very much like right person, right time, but almost sort of the sense of disbelief that such a thing could even be possible, or that it is here now. Okay, and they say, I want commitment with you, just not yet. So again, very overwhelmed by the intensity of this, by what has been sparked, what has been awakened within this person. This feels, again, like that energy of somebody who just needs to catch their breath, who needs to try to make sense of this, get some perspective from this, figure out what this means. The answers that this connection has provided energetically has unlocked the door to some new questions, new aspects and areas of this person, of who they are and what love is, that have really been kind of revealed to them, a new path that they are recognizing. They are seeing this, they are acknowledging this, and they are just kind of in that, right at that kind of that peripheral of it. They're standing, right adjacent to that, recognizing it, seeing it, feeling it for what it is, and just in this, needing to kind of work through that that inventory within themselves, almost, that this is what they have been seeking. It is here. It is now. This is the opportunity, and the power is in their hands to act upon that and to receive that. And they also say, telepathically communicate with me. So they are encouraging you to participate in that open line of dialogue that exists between the both of you, the intensity of that, the very tangible aspects of that, that may be more than you have experienced with others in the past. Maybe you've never experienced telepathy before. You may have heard about this, or it's just something that's completely new to you. And so this person's inviting you to reach out to them, connect with them on that level, kind of beyond those barriers and gatekeepers of the ego, and kind of the velocity of what is happening. From that sort of energetic space, they are open, they are able, they are willing to speak with you truly about things that both the fears and the desires for you, in a way that their 3D self just isn't necessarily prepared or able, or even able to kind of grasp how to bring this out, how to make these feelings form into tangible words that come up through the throat and exit their mouth, or their fingers if they're typing towards you. But in the in the telepathic sense, those lines of communication are definitely open. So they may be communicating with you in that sense. Again, that energy of music coming through. So the two of you connecting to that, connecting through those song lyrics, and them really encouraging you, hoping that the two of you can really kind of talk with each other through this process. That any sort of hesitation, it's again where they're saying they want commitment, just not yet. They want you to understand that they still feel this. They're recognizing this. They are very engaged in this, and so wanting to kind of stay very present in that, to participate in that, as kind of that logical mind tries to kind of wrap itself around what this means, what's going on, where can this go in the future. Okay, and they say, I've been putting myself first. I've been seeing it's only hurting me more. So they could have really, again, been prioritizing kind of picking up the pieces in their life in some way, really seeking to, kind of make the most of their life experience, focusing on, healing, on really building themselves up into a place of confidence, into a place of empowerment, into a place of, being very okay with where they are, with their circumstances, with where they have been, and kind of this new door that has opened for them and has really put into perspective sort of something that has been missing, kind of that energy of seeking that has always sort of been in the background for them. And a recognition that they have that, they've almost achieved and completed all they could at a certain level individually, and the time now has come to really bring that forth into true communion with another. This person may have really been kind of seeking and have found that communion with self, have really found themselves, found that core, found that truth, have been living that authenticity, and it's now a stage. Circumstances have aligned, the universe has aligned things for the two of you based on the work you've done within yourself, to maybe even pull timelines forward, to bring the two of you together in this lifetime, in this manner, in this way, at this precise juncture of time and space. And it's something where this person is starting to recognize how the fullness they may have thought existed in their life, or the place of contentment that they were at, that there's so much more that is available to them. They're starting to really recognize that, as much as they may have cultivated joy, there was still this kind of weeping wound within them, that intersecting with you and with this connection, it has really, it has kind of eviscerated that within them. It has kind of washed that away. It's inviting them to move beyond that. And they're recognizing how they may have been kind of accustomed to that, to just sort of living with that, to living with that ache within them. But that this connection is offering them that potential that they don't have to live with that anymore. They don't have to live with that alone. That the answers that they have been seeking in some kind of soul level, in some way, in some chapter, in some facet, it is answered. It has been answered by the two of you connecting in this reality. Okay, and we have through the seasons, our love grows. So this really ties in with that energy of a past life connection, somebody who you've had many evolutions and incarnations with. And it may have, again, been a very distant time since you were last with this person in physical incarnation. Even longer since the conditions were right for the two of you to really experience this abundance, experience a harmonious chapter together, as opposed to maybe some of the loss and disappointment of other lifetimes and the story and how that played out between you. But there's a sense of growth and transcendence that this connection really offers to them, the energy between you, and also a sense of this kind of pause as they're needing to catch their breath, as the two of you are really needing to kind of process and feel into and acclimate to this very intense energy, this expanse that has been opened up within you and within the possibility of how you can understand and experience love. There's a sense of this being very helpful to the ways in which this connection can grow in the future, holding space for one another to kind of process this, to sort of come to grips with this, come to an understanding of this, learning to navigate this. It's almost the idea of getting your sea legs, learning to sort of ride this wave, to surf this, as opposed to being very overwhelmed and engulfed by it. That process from the higher self, they are understanding, and they're letting you know that this is all part of that necessary sort of prelude to stepping into, a more tangible expression, experiencing these sensations in the material sense after you have kind of become accustomed to them, accustomed to this newness, accustomed to one another on an energetic vibration. And we also have love endures, love transcends, love creates. So a beautiful experience here, as jarring as this may have been, as kind of exhilarating as this is, the two of you are really in this process of creating a new experience in love together as far as it relates to your souls and how you have incarnated throughout space and time. There's also this sense here of whatever stage in this connection you find yourselves in, this is not the end of the story. This is kind of a gestation period, a period of acclimation, that there will be growth, there will be change in a very positive direction after a period of kind of learning to navigate this, becoming a little more comfortable with the intensity of this. And they also say, you showed up for me again and again. The wheel kept spinning. 3 lives, 3 worlds. So again, this idea of this past life connection, that idea of, this multiplicity, many lifetimes that you may have had previous to this, or even the most recent incarnations you've had together where things did not work out, things ended badly within the connection, or just kind of in a very tragic or heartbreaking way, and kind of the cords, the residue of that being sort of carried along through space and time, so that when the two of you, almost are very shocked to encounter each other again here and now, you also are bringing with you kind of that energetic residue of sort of that disappointment and that energy of loss that can be kind of hard to kind of grapple, kind of hard to deal with, kind of hard to understand. And it's something that, those cords of attachment are needing to be kind of released, kind of relinquished, sort of reaching back through the layers of time, beyond circumstances in this lifetime that have a root cause, to free yourself from some of those tethers in kind of the unseen realms that you're bringing with you that are, creating this sense of hesitancy or kind of a little bit uncertainty about, how this will work out, if this is something that should be invested in or something that, should be moved away from. And so kind of this process of sort of reconciling these things, who you are in this lifetime, who you are in, your unknowable lifetimes, even the, just the glimpses that you have, that you're able to get, there's still so much more that you're unaware of. Taking that into account, making preparations for that, seeking to kind of heal that, to release that, so that you're both able to step into this place of being able to receive and experience this very joyous and fortunate kind of reconciliation energy, meeting one another again through time and through space. There's a sense here as well with this wheel of kind of this being a very lucky intersection. You're lucky to have found each other in this lifetime. You found each other in this lifetime at exactly the right moment, when the time is just right. And as much as there might be outside circumstances or even fears within you that are telling you otherwise, in some way, in some level, cosmically and energetically, the timing is right for this. There's a lesson in trust for the both of you to really kind of relinquish those fears and to step forth, to trust in the arms of love and, of destiny and of forces outside of your understanding or ability to comprehend and control, to trust in this kind of divine plan that has been orchestrated. Trust that the two of you have been brought to each other. You've been magnetized to each other. You've been revealed to each other at this time and in this place and in this moment for a very particular reason. And it doesn't need to equate the loss that you may have experienced in other incarnations. That this is a lifetime where you can experience joy with one another, that things can work out with each other, that you can fill each other. You can bask in that radiance of love on all levels, to create a new experience for your souls to carry forth into the incarnations to come, to kind of rewrite sort of the last memories you may have had of physical experiences with each other in other lifetimes, that this lifetime, this experience is something which can really help to kind of shift then the trajectory of your souls going forth, so that when you both leave this life, you are left with that sense of completion, that sense of joy. You're nourished. You have nourished each other and kind of those voids within each other in an energetic sense, so that you're able to, really carry forth without bringing kind of that residue of pain and longing with you. So I'm going to get some guidance from Spirit for you now, Group 3, about this situation. And for this section, I'm going to also read out of the book for the accompanying card. And we have Sweet Soul Rising. So that is a very beautiful bit of guidance here about this dynamic. And it really suggests that the situation, kind of the intensity, the uncertainty that you might be experiencing currently with this person, that this will pass, this connection will transcend to a new level. You're both transcending and evolving within yourself based on what has been activated by each other, within each other. And as that starts to take shape and you become more comfortable with that, you sort of learn to use the wings that the two of you have given each other or have revealed to each other, have brought to each other's attention. You are then able to soar to greater heights within yourself, within how you move through your life, through the world, and how you are able to then meet each other in love, and this experience of this higher level love and kind of this energy of, again, reuniting with each other across space and time in order to really raise the vibration of how you associate with one another at a soul level, to kind of replace some of those soul memories of pain and loss and fear and anguish, to replace those in this lifetime with the vibrations of abundance and fulfillment and love and success. So... okay, sweet soul rising. You may feel lost in your own thoughts and feelings. This is the sweetness of surrender into another world. It is a time to dream, to wonder, not to be clear and sharp right at this precise moment. If you have a clear plan, let it become soft and feel your heart open to allowing whatever may be. We might believe that it is through tough action and dynamic assertiveness that we make our way through the world. Yet sometimes the sweetness of the soul rises, and instead we can flow gently with the currents of the cosmic ocean, unsure of where we are headed, but safe in the truth that all waters naturally return to the ocean, where they are all wanting to go eventually anyway. You can use your own efforts to swim to your destination, against the current at times, or you can float on the sweet love of your own soul as it enjoys the privilege of getting to know itself as one with the divine. This oracle brings you guidance now. Surrender and flow. This is not the time to assert your will and to try and make things happen, no matter how much you may want to or believe that you should. There is something bigger happening, and everything is going to turn out perfectly, according to a far larger plan that includes your well-being too, beloved. Sometimes we have to let go of our expectations of how that bigger plan will be achieved and just let it happen, trusting that it will actually take place even without us striving to make it so. This is one of those times. With innocence, I share my heart. A smile expressing with a tear, sweet words and feelings that impart everything that I hold dear. The promise of a blossom high, the air is bathed in fragrant scent. To reach the sun, you have to fly. Desire wells with love that's meant. To wait for heaven's soft embrace, a fruit so firm and succulent. God's promise must remain so chaste, while passion's glow is slowly spent. Such patience born with time's insight. My soul doth burn in embers light, and savors fresh and moist and ripe, the gift of love when it is right. So that is a beautiful bit of guidance there to just really surrender and trust and allow the velocity of this, what has been activated, what is flowing through you and between you and this person. Allow that to infuse you and to carry you. Now is a time to surrender into this process, to understand that what is taking place within you is of greater significance. It is beyond the significance of this lifetime, and whatever you are experiencing currently in the dynamic with this person, it will give way to change in the future and at a very organic pace when the two of you are kind of more acclimated and prepared to experience and to express kind of this energy that you have unlocked within each other, and what that is meant to then unfold as in your reality with one another and in your lives as individuals. So I'm going to close this reading with some initials. This can be first, middle, or last name of you or this person, or it can spell something out, just whatever resonates for you. We've got H, U, J, Z, E, A, R, and C. So those are your messages, group 3. I hope they resonated with you and that you enjoyed the reading. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up, comment, subscribe, or share. If you'd like a personal reading, I offer them through my Etsy shop, and there's a link in the description box of the video for that. I also sell handmade jewelry and some divination tools in my Etsy shop if you're interested in checking those out as well. I hope to see you again in another reading. Please take care and be well.